Coming up on BCN Today. Lethbridge police are dealing with another attempted child abduction. We have the details. Plus, Alberta Premier Kenney calls on Trudeau to push through the pipeline construction. And it's flu season. Once again, Alberta Health Services recommends getting your flu shot as immunization clinics are now open.
Your Canada. Your Southern Alberta. Your stories. From our studios in the heart of Lethbridge, it's BCN Today with Jeanette Roche.
Hello and thanks for joining us. Lethbridge police are investigating after another attempted child abduction. Police responded to a call at about 4:30 p.m. yesterday at a home on Mount Sunburst Place West after a 9-year-old boy said a man followed him in the alley and grabbed him by the hand. The boy pulled away and ran home. BCN's Ainsley O'Reilly was at Mount Sunburst Place and found out more details.
With the assistance of a K-9 unit, Lethbridge police say that they canvassed the area extensively and came back with negative results. The suspect is described as being male, wearing a black hoodie and black pants, and potentially having a skull tattoo on his left arm. Back on October 14th, a similar incident was reported. A 7-year-old girl said that a man approached her twice, one of those incidences being on Sunburst Way.
If you have any information that would be helpful to police in their investigation, please call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Lethbridge police have charged 2 people in connection with Monday's West Side shooting. Around 8 a.m. Monday, the LPS responded to a complaint of gunshots on Columbia Boulevard West. A 30-year-old man told police he was confronted by another man in a white GMC Yukon. The man in the truck pointed a gun at him before he ran away down the alley. The victim heard a gunshot as the vehicle sped away. Police located the Yukon later in the Hudson's Bay parking lot and arrested 2 women and a man. 29-year-old Jarrett Bruce Healy of Lethbridge faces 15 criminal charges, including pointing a firearm and careless use of a firearm. 30-year-old Crystalline Nicole Healy, also of Lethbridge, faces charges including possession of stolen property and a breach of probation. Jarrett Healy will appear in court on October 28th, and Crystalline Healy will be in court on October 23rd. According to Alberta Health Services, the province saw nearly 7,700 cases of confirmed influenza. You can now get your flu shot in Lethbridge. The vaccination is free to anyone who lives and works in the province. BCN's Ainsley O'Reilly got her flu shot and spoke with AHS about the importance of immunization.
It's flu season, which means it's flu shot season. AHS South Zone's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Vivian Sutorp, says that last year, 72% of influenza cases were protected through vaccines.
There's no vaccine that's 100%. So people may still get ill, but in general they have milder disease, less complications, and have shorter duration of illness. A lot of people may have influenza, have milder disease. Some people have very serious disease. So there's a spectrum of illness.
If you're under 5 years old or part of the elderly population, you have a higher risk of picking up the virus.
Heart disease, other immune conditions, for example, and the elderly at more risk of complications. That could be pneumonia, infections, sinus infections, ear infections, etc., and even death.
In the South Zone, which includes Lethbridge, there were nearly 450 confirmed cases of influenza last year. To make sure that you aren't one of them, AHS says to check their website and see where you can get your shot locally. For Bridge City News, I'm Ainsley O'Reilly.
A TB rights transfer ceremony at Chinook Regional Hospital took place Tuesday to build on the important relationship between Indigenous people and the Alberta Health Services.
The elders met, shared stories with us about some of the significance of the work that's being done here with AHS in the South Zone to come up with the design on the teepee. And from there we worked with the elders to have it painted. And now today we are getting the rights transferred to us so that we can care for this teepee going forward and use it for our programming and have it as space open for our patients and families to gather in addition to our ceremony room inside the hospital.
One of the reasons why it's so important that we have this teepee is it's going to help a lot of our Indigenous people that come to the hospital, and not only our Indigenous but our non-Indigenous, and that goes to all our colleagues too, because some of the times our patients go through a very difficult time, and it's a part of their healing process too.
Along with 2 golden eagles featured on the teepee, the colors black, white, red, and yellow are used throughout the design to signify that it's welcoming and inclusive to all people. There was a 5-year period in Canadian history between 1949 to 1954 when 11,000 Canadians found themselves paralyzed with polio. Then, a year later, a cure was discovered. Since then, the eradication of polio has been a collective mission of Rotary clubs worldwide, but it's a $40 million effort.
The Rotary Club of Lethbridge is doing a public online auction, and is a method for us to raise some money. So we really invite people to join us at the Rotary Club of Lethbridge. You'll find the link to the auction, and there are a number of things there. There are Grey Cup tickets, there's other sporting tickets, there's a week away at a resort in Kimberley. So a number of opportunities to bid, to purchase make a great deal purchasing items from Rotary and help us with the fundraising that's being done locally to support the $40 million that Rotary needs to raise this year to do its part in the campaign.
October 24th is World Polio Day. The Rotary Club of Lethbridge is hoping to raise as much money as possible during their fundraising auction, which is open and closes midnight on Thursday. Elections Canada is reporting that preliminary data gathered from 99% of the polls show that 17.9 million Canadians voted in the 43rd general election. This is a voter turnout rate of nearly 66%, not including voters who registered on Election Day. Approximately 4.7 million people voted at advance polls over the Thanksgiving long weekend, while 111,000 Canadians voted at one of the temporary Election Canada offices between October 5th and October 9th. 34,324 people voted by mail from abroad. With the Liberal minority comes more calls for Alberta separation. The group calling itself Wexit Alberta now has over 50,000 followers on its Facebook account. We recently spoke to the group's leader, Peter Downing, in Calgary. He says that there's a lot of momentum toward Alberta separation now more than ever.
Not to take the separatist movement lightly. And from speaking from conservative grassroots, blue collar, and conservatives, educated professionals from all walks across industry, whether it be energy, agriculture, healthcare, law, finance, they're saying the same thing, is that, I'm a proud Canadian. They're saying they're proud Canadians right now. We will not live through another 4 years of Justin Trudeau. We're not tolerating that, and we are going to explore every option available for us right now.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will hold his first post-election news conference this afternoon and will no doubt be asked questions about Wexit. The Liberals didn't win a single seat in Alberta or Saskatchewan, which means Trudeau won't be able to appoint a cabinet minister from his own party to represent the interests of either province. The CEO of oil company Whitecap Resources says Alberta and Saskatchewan's contributions to the Canadian economy have not been respected, and he is not surprised there has been talk of the region splitting off. Conservative leader Andrew Scheer had a specific message for Albertans and Saskatchewans when he spoke at a press conference in Regina following Monday's election.
So my message to the people of Alberta and Saskatchewan is we hear you loud and clear. We will fight for you. We will do everything we can to make sure that this Liberal government understands that it has to change course. It cannot continue to attack our energy sector, to kill big projects that get our natural resources around the world, and that we will do everything we can to get our energy sector back on its feet and make sure that all Canadians understand that when Western Canada succeeds, all Canadians succeed.
Alberta Premier Jason Kenney called on Prime Minister Trudeau to push through the construction of the Trans Mountain pipeline and get Alberta's oil and gas to international markets.
Our approach is not to be dogmatic. Our approach is to defend our vital economic interests. And that may require some a give and take with the federal government. I would also point out to the Prime Minister that on many of the issues I've spoken about, we have the support of all or most of the provinces. 9 of 10 opposed to Bill C-69. Several provinces opposed to the application of the carbon tax. 9 of 10 provinces in favor of energy and resource corridors, including oil and gas pipelines. So, you know, together with trying to have taken a constructive role with Ottawa, we've also tried to build a pan-Canadian coalition that reflects our interests.
Green Party leader Elizabeth May says winning 3 seats should not be viewed as a disappointment. She said her party was expecting to do better, but the campaign was met with difficult challenges from the NDP, who she says resorted to what she called smear tactics.
Seeing our numbers go down directly, I mean, I think there's no doubt that the NDP spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on literature, came into my mailbox, it was on radio all the time. We really, we've learned some things. We didn't think that smears and attacks would be sufficient to erode the leads we had, so we were wrong.
Both Jane Philpott and Jody Wilson-Raybould ran as independents this campaign. Philpott lost her seat in Markham, Ontario, but Jody Wilson-Raybould secured hers in Vancouver Granville riding.
Tonight, we accomplished together something extraordinary. We accomplished showing Ottawa, showing our political process that independent, strong voices matter and that we can do politics differently.
Saskatchewan's curling community is in mourning after the sudden death of Allie Jenkins. 30-year-old Jenkins died Sunday during childbirth. Her husband, Scott Jenkins, said everything was fine when they arrived at the hospital, but during labor, doctors determined amniotic fluid had entered her bloodstream, setting off a rare amniotic fluid embolism. He says she fought for 5 hours before her heart gave out. The baby girl, named Sydney, has been placed in the neonatal intensive care unit. 38 adults and 1 teenager are dead in a suspected people smuggling operation. The bodies were found early today in the back of a 18-wheeler in Essex, just east of London, England. The transport reportedly traveled from Bulgaria and entered Britain via the Welsh port of Holyhead on Saturday from Ireland. A 25-year-old man from Northern Ireland has been arrested on suspicion of murder. A top U.S. diplomat testified that President Donald Trump held back military aid for Ukraine unless the country agreed to investigate Democrats and a company linked to Joe Biden's family. Associated Press obtained diplomat William Taylor's opening statement.
Just finished a long hearing with Ambassador Taylor, the lead diplomat in Ukraine. And want to thank him. He spent several hours talking to the committee. I can comment on the Washington Post story. I've read the CNN and Washington Post opening statement that has been printed. And what I will just say is to what has been printed, that describes more evidence of a direct connection between President Trump's wishes that Ukraine investigate the 2016 election, essentially exonerating the Russians, and his potential 2020 opponent, Vice President Biden and his family, in exchange for President Zelensky in Ukraine to get a White House meeting and security assistance. It's clearly illustrated that this is not just rogue Rudy Giuliani self-dealing in Ukraine. He's an agent of the president. The president is his client. Anything Rudy Giuliani does is on behalf of the president. So Rudy is President Trump is Rudy, but you also see this second sharp straight line between Ambassador Sondland and President Trump. So you have President Trump giving directives to Rudy Giuliani and also Ambassador Sondland from what was printed.
Well, we have a 60% chance of showers and flurries today, showers or flurries, that is, with a high of 5 degrees. But double-digit temperatures are returning tomorrow. A full look at the weather is coming up after the break. Welcome back. Here's a look at your weather highlights for Lethbridge. Today we have a 60% chance of either showers or flurries, so we'll see how that shapes up today with a high of +5. Tomorrow though, look at that. We're back in double digits, high of 13 with some sunshine in the forecast there for us tomorrow. Not too bad. Looking ahead to the 5-day, lots of sunshine also on Friday, and look at that temperature, high of 18, but the fluctuation could be a possible low of -1, so that's quite the fluctuation for Friday. Saturday, chance of clouds, high of 3, much the same for Sunday with a high of 4. We're down to 1 degree on Monday with chance of mixed sun and cloud, and then sunny skies back for Monday. The average temperature this time of year should be around 12 degrees. The average low should be around -1. And back in 1965, we saw our highest temperature on this day. It was 27 degrees. The lowest temperature was -13 in 1991. The sun rose this morning at 8:05 a.m. and will be setting this evening at 6:26 p.m. So before 6:30. These days getting shorter and shorter. Going to the west coast here, Victoria and Vancouver, we're seeing tons of sunshine on the west coast today with highs of 11 and 12 degrees on those days. A high of 5 degrees in Edmonton with a mix of sun and cloud and a chance of precipitation there. It's a high of 5 in Calgary today, and they have a chance of flurries and showers there as well too. A high of 3 degrees today in Saskatoon, high of 3 in Regina, and high of 3 over in Winnipeg. Winnipeg though, seeing some flurries, seeing some showers up in Saskatoon there too. At Toronto, we're seeing high of 12 degrees with a mix of sun and cloud, also in Ottawa with a high of 13. We have some showers happening though in Montreal today with a high of 14 degrees. And looking over to the Maritimes here, Fredericton, high of 15 degrees. Well, they got showers though. They have some rain also in the forecast for Halifax with a high of 14. Mix of sun and cloud in Charlottetown with a chance of precipitation there, high of 14 degrees, and a high of 9 degrees in St. John's, Newfoundland, and they've got showers there as well today. That's your weather highlights. Here's a look at what's happening in your community.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. Family Center's Parent Advisory Council and Exhibition Park invite you to come to the Fifth-tastic Boo Bash on Saturday, October 26th from 1 to 4 p.m. at Exhibition Park West Pavilion. Come with your family dressed up in your best costume and enjoy crafts, games, a bouncy castle, photo booth, and so much more. There's no admission charges or parking fees. For more information, visit famcenter.ca. Pitcher Butte Trinity United Church is holding its annual Fall Beef Supper fundraiser on Sunday, October 27th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Pitcher Butte Community Center. Dine in or take out. Tickets are $20 and are available at the door. To purchase your tickets in advance, visit the Pitcher Butte Municipal Library. Men young and old alike are invited to come join the Lethbridge Christian Men's Choir. Practices are held every Thursday from 7:30 to 9 p.m. at Trinity Reformed Church. The choir practices are in preparation for Christmas and spring concerts, as well as occasional performances at the hospital and seniors' homes. For more information, call 403-328-7985. And that's your Bridge City News community calendar.
Many different forms of cures for hiccups exist, which include holding your breath, hanging upside down, and being startled. But today's daily life hack says that you should do this. Inhale through your mouth, swallow twice, and slowly exhale through your nose. And voila, hiccup's gone. And that's been today's daily life hack. I've actually never tried that one before, and if you have and it works, why don't you just send us a little shout out on Facebook. This is Small Business Week in Canada, a chance to celebrate entrepreneurs across the country. What continues to positively affect the economic viability of Canada are people who chose to start and maintain businesses in their communities like Lethbridge.
I love being a business owner in Lethbridge because since I opened my business, since I started this business, I got a lot of friends and meeting all these people. They always say like, oh, I think I know you because they've been to my store or they've been to my house before when I was like doing my business at home. So it's just like really overwhelming for me. I started my business 5 years ago, and that time I was looking for something to do and to make an income because that time I was in my maternity leave and I just want to support my family back home in Philippines.
Stats Canada says small businesses employ just over 8 million people, or close to 70% of the private labor force. Across the UK, over 92,000 men, women, and teens are currently serving prison sentences. For the last 15 years, a ministry called Message in Prisons has been going into jails across England, sharing the Word of God. The teams continue to support ex-offenders, providing them with full-time jobs, training, housing, and discipleship to rebuild their lives and deepen their faith. Former heroin addict Joe is one of those success stories.
I was born to two alcoholic parents, and when I used to come home from school, sometimes my dad would be lying in the garden path because he was absolutely drunk. So growing up was very difficult. Everybody around me was taking drugs or they had some addiction. By the age of 16, I'm taking heroin. By the age of 22, I lost my brother to an overdose of heroin. 4 years later, my mum had a stroke, and as she was having a stroke and ambulance drivers were there, they've took her out into the ambulance, and while she's out there, I'm stealing out her purse. The ambulance drivers come back into the house and asked me if I wanted to go with my mother, and I said no. I didn't realise that was the last time I was going to see my mother alive. I didn't know that I'd be stealing money out my mum's purse as she's lying dying in the back of an ambulance. After I came out of prison, I moved to a place called Largs, and I went onto a Teen Challenge bus, and I met outreach workers there. They were different, these people. They had something. I didn't know what it was they had, but they had a peace and a calmness that was attractive to me, and I wanted what they had. And I was ready to try everything. I'd tried the drugs, I'd tried counselling, I'd tried everything, and nothing had seemed to work. And this I was willing to try because I had seen it made an impact in other people's lives. So when he got me into the classroom, he said a prayer and I repeated it after him. And it was one of these situations where absolutely nothing changed, but everything changed as well. So the circumstances and the situations that I found myself in were all the same, but something inside me was starting to change. It was like the guilt, the pain, it was all starting to fall off. It was like everything that I'd been through was starting to make sense. My outreach worker got a phone call from somebody at the Message Trust, and he told them about the Oaks and said that I would be perfect to do the Oaks. So I was at the Oaks for 12 months, and then I was offered a full-time job in the Mess Cafe. I have worked there for 2 years, got qualifications in that now. I'm a fully qualified chef, and I love working beside people from my similar backgrounds. When I first came to the Oaks, I was the one that needed support, but now I am one of the ones that's gained support as well now. So I get to come alongside the guys at the Oaks and support and mentor them, and I really feel that I am called to the Oaks.
Being married 20, 30, or even 40 years is quite an accomplishment, and I would imagine takes a lot of work. Up next, we chat with the senior pastor of My Victory Church in Lethbridge, Kelly Stickle, about some of the keys to a successful marriage. That's right after the break, so stay with us.